Hello and welcome to South Asia Today, a show that provides you the glimpses of South Asia. I'm your host Shreya Savijay. Here are the headlines. India launches world's biggest vaccination drive, targets 30 million prioritized inoculation in few weeks. Police in POK unleashed barbarity, baton charges teachers demonstrating peacefully for their rights. And Nepal political crisis getting deeper with time. Foreign Minister Gyavali flies to New Delhi. Let's begin the show with India that has launched the biggest vaccination drive in the world. India claims that it has developed the most cost-effective vaccines under the sun, which will be instrumental in eradicating the deadly disease. New Delhi has approved 2 vaccines and aims to inoculate as many as 300 million citizens in the next 5 to 6 months. India has also said that it is committed to helping its neighbours that are dependent and are waiting for others' progress.
India, the first country in South Asia to launch a vaccination drive. And not one, but with 2 vaccines, is pursuing a countrywide mission at war footing that aims to inoculate first 30 million prioritized citizens in a few weeks. First to get the vaccine will be a 30 million health and other frontline workers, followed by about 270 million older and 50 or deemed high risk. Earlier this month, the country's drug regulator had cleared AstraZeneca's locally branded Covishield, an indigenous Covaxin developed by Bharat Biotech and Government Institute. The country is also working at developing other vaccines that are at the different trial stages. The government has already bought 11 million doses of the Covishield shot and 5.5 million of Covaxin. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who has lauded the efforts of all those who have been involved in the entire exercise of developing the vaccine, acknowledged that India had a far bigger challenge in comparison with other countries.
दुनिया के 50 देशों में 3-4 सप्ताह से वैक्सीनेशन का काम चल रहा है। करीब 1 महीना हुआ, लेकिन अब भी करीब 2.5 करोड़ लोग ही वैक्सीन हो पाई है पूरी दुनिया में। उनकी अपनी तैयारियां हैं, उनका अपना अनुभव है, उनका सामर्थ्य है, वो अपने तरीके से कर रहे हैं। लेकिन अब भारत में हमें अगले कुछ महीनों में ही लगभग 30 करोड़ आबादी के टीकाकरण का लक्ष्य हासिल करना है। इस चुनौती का पूर्वानुमान लगाते हुए ही बीते महीनों में भारत ने बहुत व्यापक तैयारियां की।
The observers have time and again said that Indian role in immunizing the world is going to be the most important, as the country has a legacy of providing safe and cheaper medicines, and a vaccine with only those attributes can ensure an immune world, including some poor Asian and African countries. Even in the COVID-19 vaccines, the price difference between those of India and others is expectedly significant. While the cost of the vaccine has been kept as low as $3 in India, the United States and European Union are paying much higher prices for one dose. The owner of the Serum Institute of India, the largest vaccine producer by volume in the world, says that lower prices of vaccines will help pace up an effective fight against the virus. However, he intends to sell it at a higher price in the private market.
We've given a special price of 200 rupees for the first 100 million doses only to the government of India on their request, that we want to support the Aam Aadmi, the poor, the vulnerable, the healthcare workers and all of that. And after that, we will be selling it at 1,000 rupees in the private markets. And of course, to the government of India, we'll still maintain a very reasonable price, but it'll be a little bit more than 200 rupees, which is our cost price.
India's eastern neighbours Bangladesh too will be getting Covishield vaccine dose at an affordable $4. India says it has already started receiving vaccine orders but will take a call on export only after a few weeks. Apart from Bangladesh, India is expected to provide vaccine support to Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, among other South Asian nations. It will be exporting vaccines to the rest of the world in subsequent stages. Meanwhile, the positivity rate has been encouraging for the people and the administration as the country has been recording a consistently low number of cases. The government says it has been able to flatten the curve owing to sustained restrictions with citizens' continued support. While the mortality rate of India was always amongst the lowest, its low infection rate has provided it a shot in the arm against the disease. However, if Prime Minister Modi's cautionary words are to be followed, there cannot be any carelessness until all are vaccinated.
Moving on to the region that continues to grapple under Pakistani subjugation. The illegally occupied regions of Kashmir have been plundered of their relics and resources, but never been returned the dividend they deserved. Whether it is their social, political or economic rights, the people in the illegally occupied POK have been deprived of all. Even the teachers, the creators of any civilization, have not been spared. Recently, the police in the region unleashed brutality on peacefully demonstrating teachers for their mere demands of upgradation. They were beaten, charged and lobbed with tear gas shells for gathering in large numbers against the administration that has been doing nothing but slumbering on pleas and plights of poor teachers. Tens of hundreds of teachers are on the streets in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Sloganeering against the government, which they say has misruled the region for decades. They are demanding a long due upgradation in their salaries. Teachers say, while the other government departments, especially the high-ranking officials, have been receiving a regular hike in their remuneration, teachers are ignored and discriminated against. An appeal made recently to convene against the government resonated with a large number of teachers, and hundreds of them gathered in Muzaffarabad. However, police battened charged them and lobbed tear gas shells to disperse the teachers.
आज जो है हमारा असातिज़ा का एक कॉल थी, उस पर तमाम आज़ाद कश्मीर बार से असातिज़ा इकट्ठे हुए थे। ये हमारा पुरअमन एहतजाज था। तो 10-11 बजे तक जो है यानी अली अकबर आवाम ग्राउंड में तकरीर है। उसके बाद डिप्टी कमिश्नर मुजफ्फराबाद आया, उसने असातिज़ा को झूठ बोल के बाहर लेके गया, बंद गली में जाके उसने असातिज़ा के ऊपर जो है फौरी लाठीचार्ज करवाया। कश्मीर चीफ सेक्रेटरी आज़ाद कश्मीर IG आज़ाद कश्मीर साहब से अपील है कि इसके खिलाफ फौरी कार्रवाई की जाए और हम उस वक्त तक पीछे नहीं हटेंगे। हमारा खून क्या बल्कि हमारी जान भी चली जाए जब तक हम अपने हकूक़ हासिल नहीं करेंगे।
Protesters accuse that the government has given a handsome hike in the salaries of the police and bureaucratic heads, but the teachers are not paid even at par with the newly recruited C-grade officials. They say they are not faced by any form of violence and will not return until their demands are taken up and resolved.
मैंने ऐड किया हुआ है कि मैं नोटिफिकेशन के बगैर नहीं जाऊंगा मुजफ्फराबाद से वापस। इंशाल्लाह मेरी लाश भेजना चाहते हैं ये इंतज़ामिया, ये हुकूमत मेरी लाश भेजना चाहती है, वो भेज दे, लेकिन मैं जिंदा हुआ तो मैं इस तरह वापस नहीं जाऊंगा। पूरी रियासत में जेल भरो तहरीक शुरू करेंगे। ये तहरीक जिस तहरीक में खून निकल गया है, इस तहरीक में लहू शामिल हो गया है, और जिस तहरीक में लहू शामिल हो जाए वो तहरीक कभी खत्म नहीं हो सकती।
Teachers say they are the most affected by the rising inflation in the region. Some even say they are struggling to make their ends meet. But the government, which makes tall claims of investing in the quality education of the people of the region, has turned its back on those who are the fundamental constituents of the educational structure, or the so-called academic ambition leaders repeatedly use in their political rhetoric. Now we take a look at some happenings in Asia in a segment called Asia Watch.
Visiting Chinese State Councillor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi and Myanmar's Commander-in-Chief of Defence Services Min Aung Hlaing agreed to accelerate the construction of the China-Myanmar Economic Corridor to boost bilateral ties. During the meeting, Wang said the main purpose of his trip is to communicate with Myanmar on implementing the results of Chinese President Xi Jinping's historic state visit last year, when the two countries agreed to build the China-Myanmar community with a shared future and exchange views on developing bilateral ties in the next stage. As reflected by the China-Myanmar community with a shared future, China will continue to back Myanmar in safeguarding its sovereignty, national dignity, and legitimate rights, supporting the country in pursuing a development path suited to its own national conditions, and the Myanmar Army in playing an active role in the process of the country's development transition. China has agreed with Myanmar in principle on implementing the action plan of building the China-Myanmar community with a shared future, hoping the Myanmar Army can make new contributions to the common goal of the two countries. Wang is on a four-nation tour to Southeast Asia on January 11 to 16, which will also take him to Indonesia, Brunei, and the Philippines. Kazuyoshi Miura, the oldest scorer in Japanese professional football, is set to play on the age of 54 after extending his contract with Yokohama FC for another season. Miura, dubbed King Kazu in Japan, turns 54 on February 26, a day before the 2021 J-League campaign kicks off. It will be his 70th season with the club he joined in 2005. The former Japan striker last scored against Teisapa Kutsatsu Gunma in 2017 in Japan's second division, becoming the oldest player to score in a Japanese professional league game at 50 years and 14 days. The 2021 season will be Miura's 36th as a professional after starting his career with Santos in Brazil in 1986. The striker is one of the most revered sportsmen in Japan and was at the forefront of the country's football boom in the early 90s when he was the poster boy of the newly launched league in 1993. Miura won the Asian Cup with Japan in 1992 but missed out on representing his country on their debut appearance at the World Cup finals in France 6 years later. He scored 55 goals in 89 games for Japan. The forward helped Yokohama secure promotion to Japan's top division at the end of 2019 season but played only 4 times in the 2020 season. China's COVID-19 vaccination campaign among key groups of people is well underway as the country is seeing a spate of new cases. The vaccines have been given the first to priority groups, including those engaged in handling imported cold chain products and people working in exposed sectors. These include port inspection and quarantine, aviation, public transport, fresh market, medical treatment, and disease control. At present, North China's Tianjin municipality has inoculated 430,000 people of key groups with the SARS-CoV-2 vaccine, Gu Qing, Deputy Director of Tianjin Center for Disease Control and Prevention, said at a press conference. In Shenyang, capital city of northeast China's Liaoning province, a total of 82,727 people among key groups have received free COVID-19 vaccines since the program started from December 25th.
Moving on, the Himalayan nation of Nepal has plunged into a deep political crisis with the dissolution of its parliament by Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli. And the impasse is not getting resolved, with both opposing sides adamant on their stand. While the Dehel faction, which was to lead the country after half mark into the 5-year term, has been demanding restoration of parliament through the Supreme Court, Oli is bent at having snap elections in April and May. Kathmandu is also facing a stiff resistance from common people as an intensified demand to bring back monarchy has sprung up. And after a growing suspicion on Chinese role in the Nepalese affairs, New Delhi appears to be the only and final option that can placate the warring sides.
Clashes broke out between the common people and the police after the former carried out a march in support of the return of constitutional monarchy on the occasion of birth anniversary of King Prithvi Narayan Shah. While the protesters said the government has grown weary of the rising demands of monarchy, Kathmandu called it a law and order situation. The Oli-led administration, which has been at the helm of a caretaker government in the country, is accused of intimidation, suppression of dissent, and curbing of freedom of expression. Some even say it has launched a crackdown on leaders of opposing ideologies.
किन भन्दाखेरि विगतमा पनि हामीले गरेका थियौं पहिला पनि पोहोर पनि गर्यौं पहिला पनि गर्यौं हामीले 2-4 वर्षै भयो जुन बेला चाहिँ नि यहाँका चाहिँ राष्ट्रका घातीहरू चाहिँ पृथ्वीनारायण शाहको शालिगलाई थुकेर हिँड्थे त्यतिखेर हामी राजावादी कांग्रेस नेपाली कांग्रेस बीपी भएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि हामी चाहिँ माल्यार्पण गर्थ्यौं तर अहिले यो सत्तामा बस्नेहरू हाम्रो जनमानस ठुलो भयो त्यसपछि डराएर हामीलाई चाहिँ नि रोकेको हो त्यो कुरा हामी प्रश्न गर्न चाहन्छौं
Nepal is undergoing a political crisis after Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli decided he could no longer work with rival factions within his Nepal Communist Party, which was formed in 2018 to unite the Marxist-Leninist and main Maoist parties following their success in elections in late 2017. With 2 years of his term to run, Oli dissolved Pratinidhi Sabha or lower house of the parliament in December and called for fresh elections. Shock, anger, demonstrations followed. As many as 7 ministers owing allegiance to the anti-Oli faction of the NCP resigned. The supporters of Prachanda and Nepal took to the streets protesting against Oli's move, which has been challenged in the country's Supreme Court. People of the country who have already been hit by the pandemic are increasingly disillusioned and say they want a system they can sustain and not which can be overturned by a whimsical leader.
देशमा जुन पुस 5 गते प्रधानमन्त्री केपी शर्मा ओलीबाट जुन चाहिँ असंवैधानिक जुन संविधानमै नलेखेको कुरा चाहिँ संसद विघटन जस्तो एउटा जघन्य अपराधिक जुन कदम चालियो त्यसका विरुद्ध आज हाम्रो संगठन अनेरा सहयोग चाहिँ आन्दोलनमा चाहिँ चरणबद्ध आन्दोलन दोस्रो चरणको आन्दोलनमा गइरहेको छ
The issue is now with the Supreme Court of Nepal. But there too, the warring sides have been demanding a different type of bench to hear the case. However, in such a scenario, observers are wondering if New Delhi could play a role. The permanent ally and all-weather friend of Nepal has provided it with all forms of support in the past as well. They say the 6th India-Nepal Joint Commission meeting, where the leaders review gamut of the bilateral partnership, must focus on restoring peace in the Himalayan region. Some experts have even said that New Delhi, and only Delhi, which has always had positive intents and plans for Nepal, can help it in such a crisis. According to them, both should be working together for a peaceful and prosperous Nepal.
India is the birthplace of Buddhism, and every Buddhist festival is celebrated with great fervour and splendour across the country. The monastic festivals held in the holy city of Bodh Gaya are brilliant shows of song, dance and colour that revitalize the spirit of the people. So, this week in our cultural lineup, we'll show you how Bhutanese monks perform traditional mass dance or cham dance for the peace and harmony of the country.
Buddhist scriptures describe Bodh Gaya as the navel of the earth, and millions of pilgrims and tourists visit every year, backing the holy town and Mahabodhi temple, Buddhism's holiest shrine. The environment in Royal Bhutan Monastery was convivial as the Buddhist monks from Bhutan recently participated in a traditional cultural mass dance to ward off evil spirits. Donned in gaily painted masks, ceremonial swords and sparkling jewels, Buddhist monks leaped and swung to the rhythm of resounding drums and chanting of monks. Monks from various parts of the country participated in this traditional dance, which is commonly known as cham. This vibrant and enlivening dance is the traditional dance of Bhutan, usually performed during Sechus, the annual Bhutanese festival.
ये डांस करता है ना, ये लोग सब भगवान का अवतार लोग है ना, भगवान का अवतार लोग है। इस जगह में जहाँ भी हम लोग रहता है उसमें हम लोग का ऐसे भूत प्रेत बहुत है ना, हम लोग का अशांति करने वाला। तो ये लोग ऐसे डांस करेगा तो ये भूत प्रेत लोग थोड़ा शांति हो जाएगा ना। तो शांति होगा तो हम लोग को शांति होगा तो दूसरा को शांति देने हम लोग का सकेगा ना। हम लोग खुद शांति नहीं तो दूसरा को हम लोग शांति करने के नहीं सकेगा ना। पहले हम लोग का खुद का जगह शांति बनाना पड़ेगा, इसलिए हम लोग एक हर साल करता है। ये है पहले हम लोग का शांति, उसका बाद दूसरा को शांति, फिर दुनिया वर्ल्ड पीस के लिए शांति के लिए हम लोग सोच की हर साल 3 दिन करता है।
According to Buddhism, cham dance is considered a form of meditation and an offering prayer to the gods and goddesses. And it is believed that dancing lamas perform a play depicting the triumph of good over evil through their rhythmic movements. It is also performed in various Buddhist festivals like Losar Festival, Spituk Gustar, Lumbini Festival, Ulamba Festival, Magh Puja Day and Hemis Festival. Every year, Buddhist devotees from different countries gather to witness the traditional dance. However, this year, due to pandemic, the ritual was scaled down and performed without any spectators.
ऐसा कोरोना से वजह से हम लोग कोई भी अंदर आने नहीं दिया, ये हम लोग इंडोर करता है।
Such types of events represent a rich culture and traditional heritage of holy city Bodh Gaya and gives a gigantic experience of pure country life away from the hustle and bustle of the city.
It's time for me to wrap up today's episode. We'll be back next week at the same time. This is Shreya Savajay signing off on the behalf of entire production team of South Asia Today. Goodbye and take care.